Hello, hello. We are live for our Wise Woman interview series. And I am most excited to introduce you to Susan today. And I always start with how I met the person is the person of the hour. And Susan came to our Huron Valley Chamber of Commerce Thursday morning. It's a special meeting that we meet. You might have, if you're followed me or you know anything about our community, it's the and then some business meeting. It's 7 a.m. every Thursday. It is a commitment. And what comes to the table would be a category of one. So Susan came and she shared her business, and it is a category of one. And so it's a very tight group, and there is an outline and very specifics on what we do and how we do it. And so as she has come with her 15 seconds, her 30 second, her 1 minute, which I think her presentation is going to be coming up here soon, where she does a 10 minute more about her story. And the little bit I've learned, I wanted to make sure that you knew about her because her story is so incredibly inspiring, which she's going to tell about. And essentially, she has created something from what's the word I want to even bring? Such a extreme situation, she found a solution and a beautiful gift. And now that gift that served her then is serving not only a business that she's created, she has employees, team members, consultants, however this she's going to explain her business model. And she also has opportunities to serve our community and clients in ways that I've already seen online that they're talking about how special, how unique, how different their experience was. And it all came back to something in a situation that Susan dug in and said, there's another way. So I'm excited for you to meet Susan and what she's done with what happened. And my hopes are she'll go a little bit further back to explain what happened before the situation arose when she decided to put this business together. So thank you for your time. Tell us all about you.
Thank you, Maggie. I really appreciate you having me on here. So my background is I was a consultant in the utilities industry when the industry deregulated
Mm.
and all the larger utilities were buying up all the smaller utilities. So we got rid of redundancies and streamlined their processes. And so that was really fun. That went into my early 30s. And then when I started a family, my husband and I were both traveling at the time. So I cried uncle and I pivoted into executive assistant roles in the C suite of Fortune 500 companies. So that's what I did. And then after my divorce in 2019, my youngest son, who had just graduated from high school, mentioned that he wanted to go to Michigan State. And we were living in San Diego at the time. So I moved back home to Michigan to enable him to be able to go to Michigan State. He's back in San Diego right now after graduating, but I love being back in Michigan. And when I first got back, in 2020, I had my first diagnosis of breast cancer on my left side. And I went through treatment, rang the bell, and then had my annual mammogram in 2021, and they found it in my right side. So I'm essentially a two-time breast cancer survivor. And at the time, I was going through treatment up through my last surgery was February of 2024. And I had a total of 9 surgeries throughout this journey. I had a lot of out of pocket medical debt. And so I was living in Grosse Pointe at the time. And I threw out there to my community Facebook page that I was a recent two-time breast cancer survivor with out of pocket medical bills to pay. Please help me out by letting me be your driver of choice to and from the airport. And it seemed like the whole community supported me.
Mm.
So I was recruiting all of my friends to drive for me. And it quickly became something that I realized was going to be a business and not just neighbors driving neighbors.
Mhm.
So I formed an LLC called Lakes Transportation LLC. I hired an attorney, a marketing firm, and a CPA. And then we went ahead and recruited drivers as independent contractors to work for me. And it's been a roller coaster ever since, mostly ups, a few downs. But I just keep going. And the vision that I have, what makes my business model unique, is that now I give back to the cancer related community through charitable donations. So a
Mhm.
portion of every ride is set aside to be given away as a charitable donation.
Mm.
Um, so that's what I do, and it's been really rewarding. Some of my drivers have even commented how rewarding it is to drive for Lakes Transportation. We just love our clients, and we're just having a really good time with it and giving back to the cancer community.
Oh my goodness. So it sounds like, am I mistaken or were you retired?
Yes, I was. And thankfully, I was fortunate enough to not have to work um, after the divorce. So I was retired and I was on a very limited income.
Mhm.
So that's what um, enabled me to be able to form Lakes Transportation.
Well, and I think that I want to point that out because so many times, and actually, wildly enough, this month we are launching. Her name is Martha Duvall, and she lives in Kentucky, and she was a teacher for 44 years. And she had the dream to lead a peacemakers movement, and realizing that when you are retired, to have a purpose-filled mission. And yet, when you're retired, you're like, yeah, I'm retired. Yeah, and then it's like, wait a second. What do I do? Where do I do it? How do I do it? And relaxing and enjoying and gardening and walking and traveling and that's great. Yeah, sometimes we're looking for a little bit something more.
Mhm.
Yours transitioned to health and then turned into a business, which I love because you enrolled, and this is a big thing of what I teach, is that you believe that there was something available. You asked, you allowed, and I wrote it down. You allowed a um the first person you hired was an attorney, marketing, the CPA. Did I miss anybody?
No, I think that's
Okay.
it. And then the
So
drivers. Mhm.
you allowed that to happen, and then what you received was the opportunity at that. I can only imagine at that moment where you're like, okay, I have this team to support me, and there's got to be someone else out there that might enjoy this. They could be retired, they could be looking for some connections, they could be looking for cash flow, they could, the could. So I love this, and this, oh my gosh, this is just so special. I had a woman just fill out a survey, and I actually don't know where she came from. I'm not sure. I think she was referred, and she said looking for some passive income in my retirement.
Mhm.
And I can introduce her to you and say, I'm not sure. Yet I love what you've designed for. I'm sad for the purpose in which it was, yet
Mhm.
the beauty that does come from ashes. The impact that you're making is so incredible. And it started with the belief that there was another option, but bigger than the belief, I feel, at least I see, is the ask. You had to put yourself out there and ask, hey,
Mhm.
this is what's happened. Anyone need what I can do? I love it. It's so beautiful. So I do have some questions for you in this journey, and I think that I'd be curious, are these answers the same in your corporate career? And then the juggle of being a mom and figuring out that work. And then also here, are they the same or would they be different? First question is, what's the most important lesson you've learned on your journey to success, both in life and business, that you wish more people or women might know? And would that be the same in those three buckets? Because there was the bucket before kids, there's the bucket juggling with kiddos and now in retirement?
Yes, I would say um, the common denominator is doing something you love.
Hmm.
And that for me, it's a component of giving back, and be it as a consultant, giving product to the client or solutions. And then as an executive assistant at the high C level, being able to support your executives to the ability that you're able to make things happen. And then I've always volunteered, be it through different missions that the companies were going after when I was working for them, or as a room mom, team mom, booster mom, for my kids while they were in school. And then when they both graduated from high school and went off to college, that just came to an instant stop. So when I moved out back to Michigan, I was looking for something to do that would be rewarding.
Mhm.
And that's when I started volunteering for various organizations. And then I got the cancer diagnosis. I had just lost my mom.
Mm.
And then I had just lost one of my dogs to cancer. And then I got my diagnosis. So they say it comes in threes, and 2020 was not my year. And of course, that's the year that COVID was in play as well.
Oh my goodness. So it was coming from every different
Mhm.
direction, which I mean, I don't think we really took, I know in our fast 30 seconds or 60, I'm not sure if I ever connected the timing of all that because that in it of itself is part of what I teach is the shift that you shifted in probably what you would know is the worst time of your life because I don't want to assume that, but yet COVID was bad for a lot, like however we pivoted through it was scary, the unknown, no matter what you felt, believed, knew, it was definitely something none of us have ever experienced in our lives. And if your mom was ill, your dog, oh, that nobody quite understands the heartache of a animal, a pet, because that unconditional love. And
Mhm.
like yeah, as a dog owner currently and having three Samoyeds that have passed. There is not something quite like it that you can explain. And then your own health and being able to look at things differently. Wow. Well, thank you for that common denominator of doing something that you love and giving back. That's beautiful. How do you maintain focus and clarity on your vision, especially when faced with challenges or the horrible, horrible self-doubt?
Um, I just keep going. I've really made an effort to surround myself with positive people. Um, my marketing firm, the head of it is also has become one of my mentors. A lot of the people we drive have become friends and mentors in a way, very encouraging, and just make it really worthwhile. Just last week, I went and visited the Rainbow Connection, who I've don't made donations to. They're an organization in Michigan that helps children with cancer fulfill their wishes.
Mm.
And so I went to drop off a couple of free rides for them to auction off at their annual auction this month. And then that was in addition to the donation that I had made in memory of one of my clients' nephews who had utilized the benefits of the Rainbow Connection while he was still alive and battling cancer, which he succumbed to a few years ago. But that's how I find who I'm going to make my donations to, is by talking to my clients, the people I ride or drive. And if they have a personal connection of someone who's battling cancer or who they've lost to cancer, I can make a donation in their honor or in their memory, based on which charity they prefer. So that's the how of how I give back.
Oh, I love it. That's so beautiful and so intentional. And I
Mhm.
love that you go through you find that connector. That's
Mhm.
rather than, looking it up in Google or something like that, that you ask. And I made a big note here, honoring or in memory of. That's super
Yes.
significant. That's very special.
Thank
So,
you.
what daily habits or practices have been key to your personal growth and achieving your goals of, not just for you, because it started off for you in one specific reason and now it's expanded. How has that evolved for you to what kind of habits or practices have been impactful?
Well, unfortunately or fortunately, I've become tied to my phone for the social media with marketing, and then email and calendar scheduling with my drivers and my clients. So I'm consistently on my phone, but we're looking currently at apps to make my life easier in that respect. So I do have wonderful drivers who are independent contractors, as I mentioned before, and they really want to grow the business as well.
Mhm.
So that helps having a team of like-minded individuals who see my vision, really appreciate it, and appreciate driving for me. So it's been really a win-win. It's been great.
And the opportunity now with AI and so many of the brilliance, like we were talking before we hit record, that one of my opportunities working through Opus Clip, I would have never known what it was. I didn't design it. And often I will send a message to the team and say, thank you for designing this because my skill set is not this. And
Mhm.
they do it and they do it well. So I can't wait to hear what is in place because again, my get your shift together, the first S in shift, well, the only S in the shift is self-awareness and being aware that you are tied to this and there's another solution out there so you don't have to be.
Mhm.
And I think the old way of doing business to say, oh, this is just the way it is. No, that is not true. That is not true. When we ask for help, we allow it, we can receive something greater, different, and better. So I want to be on the list when you figure that out so we can celebrate because that's a big deal. You know, acknowledging you're fortunate that you have a reason to be on your phone, yet it's also unfortunate how much it is part of your body if you can't leave it. So,
Right.
yeah, so let me know when you figure that out. I will be excited to celebrate.
Great.
If you could give one piece of advice to women, people in general, stepping into their power and striving for their best selves, what would it be?
Just to keep going. And as long as it makes you happy and it makes other people happy, I think you have a win and you can go for it.
I think that it gets lost sometimes of what truly is the joy. Um,
Mhm.
Worked with a client today on values. And as business owners, sometimes I think we get away from what is our truest value. And then we're like, wait, what? How did I get here? Well, maybe you too many yeses to things that are not in proper alignment of our values and how and who we spend it with. I think that that definitely is something to be aware of. Uh,
Mhm.
and that can be really important because I think knowing that you had such a strong career, then you had a career and parenting, which that's something else right there in that true juggle of raising kiddos and having all of it happening around you and shifting, like you said, because the travel and traveling and having kiddos. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, that's a lot. And now in this different season that you've taken all your wisdom, all your experience to make these decisions differently, I think it's really, really exciting to see that. How do you balance ambition and rest, ensuring that you stay aligned with your own values and avoid burnout?
I'm really good at napping.
Good. That's great.
um, yeah, and I allow myself to nap. And I think going through the cancer treatment kind of forced me into that situation. But now it's a benefit because of the weird ride schedule. I try to clump them together as much as possible, but sometimes I have outliers that
Hmm.
I need to cover that my drivers aren't available to cover for me.
Hmm.
So, just making sure that I'm rested, that nutritionally I eat healthy, and just that I listen to my inner self.
Hmm. That intuition is really more valuable than most people realize. And
Mhm,
until you get sick, that you realize, okay, if you do avoid the actual rest, put your feet up, quiet, music, what can calm your body,
mhm,
that's where we get ourselves in. And I can clearly only speak to the woman side of it. Um, Too many of those times that we ignore, I used to get migraines and I would be if I didn't listen, all of a sudden I was seeing stars and I was in a dark bathroom laying on the bathroom floor for hours.
mhm.
And I was like, you know what? This is absolutely just ludicrous. This is not. And then I get myself worked up because I was spinning. That's the last place I want to be, you know? And
Right.
people would say, why do you lay in your bed? And I'm like, no, I'd be warm. I'd want to be close because, unfortunately, I'd be the person that usually, if I got sick, it would get better sooner. And then I was like, what am I doing to myself? This is really ridiculous. So then I went backwards to look at, okay, what was happening 10 hours before this? What was happening 24 hours before that? What was happening up here? What was happening
Mhm.
right here? And knowing it's a 6-inch drop from our head to our heart. And that was an awareness. So napping, I wish I could find it. I remember seeing a message that said, the greatest of all greats know when to rest. And if it looks like a nap, you're winning.
I love that.
And because you stop to reset, to, literally plug yourself back in.
Mhm.
And it's a permission that you give yourself, especially knowing, like you said, that you're fulfilling the needs of your clients and you have this team. But if it falls outside of the team as an owner, hello, it's you, it's us,
Exactly.
it's us.
Yes.
We are our own backup plan. And so I'm proud of you for figuring that out. The nutrition side, I'm sure, we can all learn how what an impact what fuels our body really does make a difference more than we realize. And as women, we usually run, 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 and then we're like, wait, what's happening? And for me, my migraines, I was grabbing more caffeine to make up for what I wasn't stopping to do.
Mhm.
That day, I drank tons of soda. Oh, I drank so much soda. Like if it was in front of me, oh, and I wasn't even aware of it. Somebody said, "Well, why don't you give up one thing?" And I was like, what's the one thing that you drink the most?" And I was like, "Coffee, soda." And I was like, "Well, I usually have coffee in the morning and that's it." And then the soda hit. So that nutrition I think is really important. Is there anything that you like your a back like in nutrition, what are some of your go-tos knowing that you could be busy and some of the things that you've learned over time that really are helpful? Do you meal prep? Do you have certain snacks? What in that nutrition side is could be a tip that you pass on?
Definitely meal prepping is helpful if I can find the time to do it and have the discipline to do it. But I think more going for the healthier foods,
Mm.
like a salad, like drinking a lot of water, drinking a lot of teas, trying to stay away from the sodas and the coffees as much as possible. I think living in San Diego for so long, I was there for 18 years and
Mhm.
then Denver for 10 before that, um, taught me some healthy habits as well, getting out there and exercising. I think my spiritual side is very strong as well. So that's a huge piece of it as well. Um, and just making sure I'm organized.
Mhm.
Um, that helps for me to be able to focus too.
So helpful. And I hear all that structure in all that you did because if you were serving executives, you had to be organized.
Hmm.
And that served you now because now you have like an octopus. Like you have all these people going different directions and you managed an executive which had probably lots of projects and different things. So now you transitioned and brought all that skill and experience with you. So that's very, very cool. In closing, what would you say that's crossed your heart? That's one thing that we haven't talked about or something that you'd want to share?
My kids are my world. Michael is 26 and William is 25, and they call this my passion project. And
Oh,
that just really hit me in the heart. And I just love that they call it that and that they're excited for me. Um, and they're proud of me. And that just means the world to me.
that's so very special. And that example will, I mean, that's essentially a legacy that you're leaving as you're leading, not leaving. Well, you will be leaving it, but yet the leading of it is really important because it is of passion to serve and how you've chosen to grow it because you didn't have to. You could have just kept driving, do your thing, and that was that. And yet you enrolled the CPA, the marketing, and your attorney to make sure everything was in order. And you were very intentional and you had a focus of who you're there to serve. And with the charity component, I absolutely love. And you were able to transform not only yourself and your budget and your expenses and what you were doing, but you're also making that impact. I love that they see the fashion project. That's very inspiring for them to see their mama serve.
Mhm.
So very good. Well, thank you for your precious time. And I'll make sure that all your information is in our YouTube link so that if somebody's looking for a ride in the greater Detroit area, if they're looking to drive or if you're expanding, then you'll be able to have Susan's information and follow her story, follow her mission, follow what she's doing. And I'm so thankful that you chose our Thursday morning that we could learn and understand where this all came from.
Thank you, Maggie. I really appreciate everything.